Let's begin in the west of the continent, where President Bola Tinubu has condemned the mislabeling of Nigeria as a hub for cybercrime and corruption, asserting that such blanket stereotyping undermines the integrity of the majority who uphold principles of diligence. Speaking at a public engagement on youth, religion and anti-corruption organized by the EFCC in Abuja on Wednesday, President Tinubu emphasized Nigerians' significant contributions globally. The president, who was represented at the event by his deputy Vice President Kashim Shettima, noted that, on the contrary, Nigerians are meticulous, authentic citizens who have been making significant contributions to innumerable fields of endeavors around the world. Now, President Tinubu admitted that cybercrimes have evolved into a global phenomenon, but assured the anti-graft agency of the government's support in its quest to combat these digital offenses and neutralize the threat caused by other forms of corruption head-on.
Over the decades, Nigerians have been victims of mislabeling. Such gross misrepresentation fails to reflect the true essence of our diverse and resilient nation of 226 million people, with the most thriving immigrant community in the United States are the Nigerian American, 60% of whom have gone to college. The association of internet crimes within the entire Nigerian populace lacks statistical evidence and does not align with the sociology of everyday Nigerians. Our nation comprises hardworking, honest citizens who contribute significantly to various fields globally, from medicine to artificial intelligence. While we reject blanket stereotyping that undermines the majority upholding principles of integrity and diligence, we must face the fact that we function in an interconnected world where cyber crimes have evolved into a global phenomenon. This poses a threat not only to our nation, but to the entire world.
In the meantime, Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, has revealed the agency's discovery of a religious sect laundering money for terrorists. Speaking during a public forum on youth, religion and the fight against corruption, as well as the launch of the Fraud Risk Assessment Project for ministries, departments and agencies, Olukoyede disclosed that the EFCC was investigating a 13 billion naira fraud case with 7 billion naira traced to a religious group's account. He emphasized the widespread involvement of religious entities in money laundering. The EFCC boss vowed to pursue justice and recover stolen funds despite facing legal barriers from probing the religious organization leaders. The one-day event is aimed at addressing the challenges of youth involvement in cybercrimes and how religion could be used as a weapon for their reorientation. The Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives has directed the Federal Fire Service to reimburse the sum of 1.48 billion naira to the Federation account within the span of a week. This action follows the revelation that the service received intervention funds for the COVID-19 health epidemic but failed to provide an account for their utilization. The committee, led by Bamidele Salam, issued the directive on Wednesday after the Federal Fire Service failed to appear at the investigative hearing for the third consecutive time. Deputy Chairman Jeremiah Umar spearheaded the motion for the refund, highlighting the necessity for accountability, particularly as numerous other agencies have cooperated with the committee's investigation into COVID-19 intervention funds. Simultaneously, the committee has dispatched fresh invitations to several other defaulting ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government. These entities are summoned to appear and address various queries stemming from the Auditor General of the Federation's report on the allocation and utilization of billions of naira as COVID-19 intervention funds. Away from that, a Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has granted an ex parte motion filed by the Chief of Staff to Governor Sim Fubara against the Nigerian police. Edison Ehie had asked the court to restrain the police and other security agencies from arresting, detaining or harassing him over the alleged involvement in the explosion at the Rivers State House of Assembly. The court presided over by Justice Sika Aprioku after granting the order adjourned to the 6th of February for hearing of substantive application. Earlier, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja issued a warrant for the arrest of Mr. Ehie along with 5 other persons based in Port Harcourt for the alleged mastermind of the attack on the Rivers State House of Assembly. Former Adamawa Senator Elisha Abbo has called for the withdrawal of appointment of Justice Chioma Nwosu-Iheme as a justice of the Supreme Court over what he called judicial banditry and miscarriage of justice. Justice Nwosu-Iheme, who was among the 11 justices from the Court of Appeal nominated for vacant seats at the Supreme Court by President Bola Tinubu in December 2023, as recommended by the National Judicial Council and later confirmed by the Senate. Senator Abbo, who represented Adamawa North in the 9th Senate and won re-election into the 10th Senate before nullification of his mandate by the Court of Appeal panel headed by Justice Nwosu-Iheme in October last year, made the call at a press conference. The embattled senator alleged that Justice Chioma Nwosu-Iheme carried out judicial banditry on his mandate with the lead judgment she delivered on Monday, October 16, 2023, overturning his election in favor of PDP candidate he defeated with over 11,000 votes.
Am I calling for review of my case? No. I am a Democrat. I believe in the rule of law. We cannot change the law because of one person. We cannot change the law because it didn't favor a particular person. So, the fact that today the law did not favor me, I will ask for review. No matter how bad and skewed and perverse the judgment is, I am not calling for review. I will continue to stand for the law, and I tell my supporters, stand for the law. Don't break the law. Don't follow what is wrong. But I will continue to fight against judicial bandits. I will fight judicial bandits. This is just the beginning. We have documents that we have worked on. Even to Imo, we have traveled to Imo, we have documents. We will pursue judicial bandits wherever they are, so that Nigeria's democracy will be protected for you and me and my children. We cannot go back to military regime. Why are judges above the law? That they will deliberately occasion a miscarriage of justice and nobody hold them responsible. Are they above the law? Do you need to be in the good book of a judge, or you need to be on the side of the law?
Few days to the legislative rerun and by-elections in many parts of the country, stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress in Plateau State, North Central Nigeria, are putting heads together on winning the contested seats. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe attended a meeting held in Jos, the state capital, and now reports.
This is the first time the APC stakeholders are meeting in the capital city of Plateau State since the judgment of the Supreme Court affirming the election of Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP as the governor of the state. Aftermath of the Apex Court's judgment still dominate discussions. Senator Lalong noted that the democracy of Nigeria will be better if copies of the judgments were made available to the public.
I am not saying the Supreme Court is wrong. The Supreme Court is right because it is the highest court of the land. It is Supreme Court judgment that you will analyze. It is not what you hearsay that will analyze. All of us in APC are also waiting for the Supreme Court judgment. We are not only lawyers, but also we can be law students, so that it will help us to borrow, so that it will help the electoral system.
failure to swear in 16 members of the Plateau State House of Assembly that emerged through the judgment of the appeal court, even after the House resumed after several weeks of recess, remains a thing of worry for the
tools. The future is greater than the past, so we should forge ahead as a united front with zeal and full of determination. To all APC members and supporters across the state, we pay special tribute to all of you for remaining loyal, supportive, and obedient even in the face of challenges, temporary setbacks, and provocations. Let me assure you that we shall emerge stronger. I advise all of you to remain committed as we lend support to all our elected members to enable them to represent us effectively.
For the APC, the outcome of the gubernatorial election at the Supreme Court will not hinder their preparations in the February 3 by-elections in the state. Among those present at the meeting are the APC gubernatorial candidate Nentawe Goshue, his running mate Pam Botman, former Deputy Governor Sonny Tioden, and the APC Deputy National Secretary Festus Fuanta. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyowe.
Thank you, Chizoba, for that report. Now, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has taken a decisive action by signing into law Executive Order 001/2024 aimed at regulating the handling of storage of harmful substances within the state. Now, in a critical section of the order, Governor Makinde issued a stern 72-hour ultimatum for individuals possessing any form of explosives to declare them immediately. Now, this development comes in the wake of a tragic explosion that shook the state capital, Ibadan, on January 16, resulting in 5 fatalities, 77 injuries, and the destruction of 58 homes in the Adeyi area of Old Bodija. Now, Governor Makinde, while addressing the media, expressed confidence that the implementation of this new law will significantly reduce the likelihood of a recurrence of the January 16 explosion. He noted that the executive order takes effect immediately. To security matters now, Chairman of the Southwest Conference of Speakers, Adeoye Aribasoye, has challenged governors in Nigeria's Southwest region to put in place a multi-level policing architecture to urgently tackle the issue of insecurity. The lawmaker, who is also the Speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, gave this advice in Ibadan when he led a delegation of legislators from the region to the office of the Oyo State Governor in Agodi. On his part, Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, called for more harmonious coexistence among all tiers of government. He also urged the Conference of Speakers to lead the call for the creation of state policing architecture.
And we felt on our own that it is also time for us to discuss with our leaders, our governments, that there is the need again to strengthen the security architecture in the Southwest. There is the need for synergy among our subnationals, particularly in the Southwest region. And there is the need to see what we can do, if it is for us at the houses of assembly in the Southwest, to also call on the federal government that there is the need for them to allow our states, at least we should have what we call multi-level policing. We might not call it state police. I don't know whether state police is something that the federal government is afraid, but we can have multi-level policing. And for us in the southwestern Nigeria, they are Motekun. I see no reason why they cannot be, why we cannot equip them adequately.
We are in a position to maintain state police. We give police, even in Oyo State, we had like 77 divisional police offices, and we gave each of them vehicles. Each of them. I have never seen where the federal government, went to any particular state and give them tools that they need. So the states are already maintaining the police, the federal police, because the federal police are looking after the local people. So if that responsibility is split, because you're lawmakers, you're the ones to spearhead these things. If you split the responsibility, you also take resources from the federation account so that you can meet up. So the issue of, you cannot maintain state police does not even arise.
Still talking security, the 6th Division Nigerian Army on Wednesday said it uncovered a massive illegal refinery camp and seized 5 million liters of stolen crude oil stored in a reservoir in Rivers State. The General Officer Commanding 6th Division, Major General Jamal Abdul Salam, said the illegal refinery was uncovered along the Miringwanyi channel of the Imo River in the Komkom area of the Oyibo local government area of the state. He said troops found about 5 million liters of stolen crude oil stored in a reservoir, adding that powerful people were behind oil theft given the scale on which it was being perpetrated. The new discovery is coming about a week after the military discovered about 3 million of crude oil in an illegal refinery at Adagwa in the Eche local government area of Rivers State. Experts are calling for a strengthened border relationship between Nigeria and its neighbors. Now, this advocacy comes as the national boundary holds a one-day workshop with the aim of creating a platform for local border authorities along the boundaries between Nigeria and the Republic of Chad. News Central's Umar Kirawa completes the report.
The workshop focuses on transforming borders from barriers of separation to bridges of cooperation and integration. Wide range of border issues were extensively discussed by stakeholders aimed at facilitating dialogue, address common challenges, and explore opportunities for collaboration at the grassroots.
For now, even in the Abuada mobile local government, our people, they have already back to their locality and they are starting farming.
We need to also revisit our foreign policy issues, especially within the West African sub-region, so that we live with our neighbors in peace and harmony.
The creation of a platform for local border authorities is seen as an important step towards enhancing coordination and communication between the neighboring countries. Such coordination is essential in tackling transnational issues such as smuggling, illegal migration, and the threat of terrorism that often exploit porous borders.
The importance of securing our international boundary is a collective responsibility, and therefore it is imperative to equip our local border authorities with the necessary tools and knowledge to effectively carry out their responsibilities.
We in DCDA have from 2010, when we started operations, to 2023, executed 2,151 capital projects.
At the ECOWAS level, the focus is now more on the promotion of ECOWAS of people rather than ECOWAS of state.
The creation of this forum, among other things, will prepare ground for the implementation of the African Union border governance strategy.
Strengthening the relationship between Nigeria and Chad, as well as other neighboring countries, will not only contribute to regional stability, but also foster economic development and cultural exchange.
Through open and constructive dialogue, we can identify common challenges, develop initiative solutions, and implement effective strategies that will enhance the efficiency of our local border.
By transforming borders from barriers to bridges, the workshop strives to create an environment where collaboration, trade, and investment can flourish between the border communities of both nations. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, the Senate on Wednesday summoned Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, over the free fall of the Naira and hyperinflation. The summon was through its Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, headed by Senator Adetokunbo Abiru. Now, the governor and his team were asked to appear on Tuesday next week to explain the state of the economy and the free flow of the naira at the forex market. The committee at a meeting on Wednesday expressed concern over the endless weakening of the naira that saw it rose to 1,520 naira to a US dollar as at Wednesday. Speaking with journalists after the meeting held behind closed doors at the National Assembly, Senator Abiru said that the state of the economy, especially the inflation index, was of great concern to lawmakers. In the meantime, the Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered deposit money banks to sell their excess dollar stock latest February 1st, 2024, as part of moves to stabilize the nation's volatile exchange rate. The CBN, which made the disclosure in a new circular released on Wednesday, also warned lenders against hoarding excess foreign currencies for profits. According to officials, the central bank believes some commercial banks hold long-term foreign exchange positions to enable them profit from the volatile movements of exchange rates. The new circular introduces a set of guidelines aimed at reducing the risks associated with these practices. The latest circular came barely 48 hours after the CBN released a circular warning banks and FX dealers against reporting false exchange rates, among others. To further discuss this, I'm joined by Head Fixed Income and FX, Chapel Hill Denham Securities, Oladipo Ajayi. Hello, Oladipo. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so Oladipo, how significant is this move by the CBN in addressing Nigeria's volatile exchange rate and also stabilizing the currency?
Well, I think the CBN is currently doing a great job in that regard. It is better late than never because some of the moves that we've been seeing in the last days, they are great moves. If the first one was the fact that CBN tried to actually liberalize the NAFEX and NAFEX window, knowing fully well that the prices we were seeing in those windows, they were not the true reality compared to what we are seeing on the streets. And coupled with that, the central bank also came out with another circular around the banks. And for me, I think this central bank waited too long for that because just when these banks release their results, sometimes in July, the central bank sets out a circular telling banks not to actually distribute the exchange gain from FX to their shareholders. What I would have expected then was just, I think, would have been this circular that CBN released now, because it simply means that banks are actually enjoying the volatility of Naira. If you look at the 5 Tier 1 bank, 5 of them posted a total of about 2.6 trillion in FX-related gain. And I guess that is not the core business of banks. They also need to actually ensure that they actually stick to the business and at the same time do it according to what the prudential guidelines given. So I think it's a very great one from the central bank actually calling banks to order.
All right, Oladipo, now we all know that it's one thing to, issue a directive. It's another thing for it to be implemented. So I would like for you to actually tell us what you think the impact of this particular directive would have on the operations and profitability of these commercial banks.
Well, I think that normally the implementation of this, what you would do is that it will help resolve or reduce the current volatility that we are seeing in the market. And let's look at this in context. Most manufacturing companies posted a FX loss in their financial, both for half year and 9 months reports, while banks were posting profits, exchange gain. It tells you something that some banks are currently sitting on dollar liquidity, and such should have been used to actually help most of these manufacturing companies meet their obligations and also maybe pay down on their health needs. And I think that that's exactly what the central bank is trying to do now. It's trying to help banks to actually open their vaults and actually push out funds to meet obligations of people that are currently sitting on their table. And what this will do, it will reduce the level of people patronizing the parallel market, and at the same time reduce the impact that we're currently seeing on Naira. And just like what you said, the implementation is the main thing. The central bank needs to ensure that they actually put the boots on ground to ensure that and enforce the implementation of this. Because we are seeing many times where the central bank will release circular, but these circulars are not backed with force. And at the end of the day, the implementation is close to zero. This is not a time that you need to just say something. This is the time you need to walk your talk. The central bank must ensure that they actually enforce this circular so that they can see the impact they are actually expecting. And on the part of the banks, I don't think this will affect their performance to any great extent, because normally it simply means that they will actually operate in tandem with what the central bank has stated, and at the same time help the country grow appropriately.
All right, so but what about the availability of the foreign currency? Will it affect the availability of the current foreign currency? Because we actually have, or there's a report going around that even Bureau de Change operators in Abuja are shutting down their businesses due to lack of FX. So that's why I'm asking if you think this particular directive would, affect the availability of this foreign currency in the Nigerian markets, particularly for businesses and also individuals?
Yeah, very well. This will actually affect availability of foreign currency. Of course, if you look at Bureau de Change, what is the totality of the market? What is how deep is the parallel market compared to what the banks are doing? You can see, I'm sure there are banks sitting on close to $1 billion on their book, and imagine you pushing $1 billion into the market as we speak already. Of course, you see the Naira actually retraced at least to a reasonable level in the market. So banks, financial institutions are the ones sitting on the bigger volume of FX. Most of the guys in the parallel market, what they do more like they transact in more retail and medium and small scale FX transactions. The big ones are the ones that are sitting in the hand of banks. And that's one of the reasons why the central bank is saying that the banks should actually open their vaults, ensure that they are in line with the new circular. And what the circular is just saying is that don't hold any long FX position. What the circular is saying that you can go as much as 20% short of your shareholders from in terms of FX, but ensure that you don't have any longer FX position. And what the central bank is just trying to reiterate here is that banks should not speculate on Naira. That's not their core duty. That's not their responsibility. That should not be their focus. Their focus is to actually intermediate between a provider of fund and those who actually need funds. Their core duty is not to actually store currency in anticipation that when Naira defeats that they can actually book exchange gain from that. So I think that what the central bank has done will actually open up more inflow of FX into the market. And to be realistic, this is more like a short-term stopgap. Between you and I, it's not something that will actually fix the currency for a long time. But in the short run, it will actually fix the currency, while governments and central banks are looking at other ways to actually ensure that there's constant flow of FX.
Well, even if it fixes it a little, that would actually go a long way at helping with the current situation. And let's just hope that these deposit money banks, stick to these directives. Thank you so much, Ola Dakwa Ajayi, for joining me on the news and speaking on this.
You're welcome.
Now, moving away from that, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has assured residents that there is no going back for the May 29th commissioning date of the Abuja Metro Line project. Now, Wike, while inspecting ongoing construction of access roads to the train stations, says that the line will pose immense benefits to residents and reduce congestion of vehicles within the city centre. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was an inspection tour of the access routes connecting train stations along the Abuja Metro Line. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, received updates from the contractors and the engineers on site.
This bridge is about 300 meters.
Yes, sir. To pass and then cross the road. So the foundations has been completed. Only one exists that falls within the corridor. Inside the corridor.
What are they going to do?
And they discuss the clearance they need for each pier. Which our provision satisfied. So we only need them the time they will not be in operation. Or we take a holiday, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, so that we can sink those 3 piers, crossing them, so that we can continue.
The alignment we ask them to use is along the rail corridor. Here they came through here and they want to come in between this. Yeah. So our people are saying, let's maintain along the rail corridor up to the mirror. And that is the position we have stood by.
He says that while construction is ongoing at the site, the FCT administration is committed to constructing quality access roads to ease citizens using the line.
If you do not create access roads for the communities who will be using this metro line in the various stations, then the aim is defeated. You can imagine if this access road is not there, how would they use this station to even go to the city?
He also adds that there is no going back on the May commissioning date, saying the metro line will pose immense benefits to citizens.
We want to fulfill the promise we have made to Mr. President and the residents of Abuja that God willing, everything be the equal, we will use the metro line. And for me, it is a major breakthrough so that this can reduce the influx of vehicles to the city, and it's going to help us a lot.
The minister assured those present that there is no cause for alarm in regards to the funding of the project, saying provisions have already been made in the statutory budget of the Federal Capital and the nation's 2024 budget. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The news continues in West Africa, where the mission deployed by the European Union to Senegal to observe the presidential election on 25th February is asking to meet the candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who is currently in prison, and considers it very important that he be able to campaign. The mission's head in Senegal, Malin Diok, tells a news conference that their aim is to see all the candidates who have been validated by the Constitutional Council, whatever their situation, and they hope to be able to meet Diomaye wherever possible.
Comme objectif de voir tous les candidats qui ont été validés par le Conseil constitutionnel et donc quelle que soit leur situation. Donc on espère de pouvoir aussi rencontrer Monsieur Diomaye ou que ça soit possible. On est en train de faire les démarches. Et il me semble très important que les candidats qui ont été retenus par le Conseil constitutionnel puissent faire campagne en toute égalité. Et donc, évidemment, nous espérons qu'il y aura que ça peut se faire, parce qu'on ne va pas interférer dans le processus électoral tant qu'elle est, mais on va venir avec des recommandations, avec une analyse approfondie, aussi basée sur toutes les observations de nos observateurs de longue durée qui seront sur le terrain pendant plusieurs.
In the east of the continent, Sudan's 9-month-old war has so far largely spared the country's east, but with the front line inching ever closer and reports of military training camps across the border in Eritrea, the fragile peace there is in jeopardy. According to UN experts, the war has already killed thousands, including between 10,000 and 15,000 in a single city in the Western Darfur region. The war pits Sudan's army chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan against his former deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, known as Hemeti, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Analysts have said the RSF is backed by the United Arab Emirates, which denies supporting the paramilitaries who have conquered large swaths of Sudan during fierce battles in central, western, and southern Sudan. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, tells a news conference since April 2023 that at least 8 million people have been displaced from their homes by the war in Sudan. Grandi says most are still in Sudan, but more than 1.5 million have gone to neighboring countries, adding that the refugee response is poorly funded and predicting that without improvements, some refugees may leave and one day head to Europe.
April 2023, so less than a year ago, 8 million people have been displaced from their homes in Sudan. 8 million. Majority inside Sudan as internally displaced, but increasingly also outside. More than 1.5 million refugees have gone to neighboring countries. The leaders in Sudan are losing the trust of their people, because some of these people told me, even if there is peace, I am afraid to go back, because after what I have seen of the violence of the war in Khartoum, children killed, women raped, we don't want to go back. We are afraid.
Protesters and police clashed outside Argentina's lower house of Congress in Buenos Aires as the institution begins what is expected to be a marathon debate on President Javier Milei's mega bill to reform the economy, politics, and even some aspects of private life. Milei's so-called omnibus bill initially contained 664 articles, but has lost almost half that figure in tough negotiations with the opposition, which largely outnumbers its party in Congress. The legislature debated for around 12 hours before adjourning until Thursday at noon. Milei, a libertarian and self-described anarcho-capitalist, took office in December, vowing to slash spending and end decades of economic crisis in South America's third largest economy, where annual inflation stands at over 200%.
Rechazamos de plano la aprobación de este proyecto de ley, que por supuesto tiene modificaciones, no es el proyecto inicial, pero que lo rechazamos de plano, como así también el protocolo represivo y el DNU.
Y entonces vienen estos monstruos con esta ley, que es totalmente anticonstitucional, que cercena los derechos, que realmente nos pone de rodillas ante el Fondo Monetario Internacional y que le entrega al país a los que...
Former U.S. President Donald Trump met leaders of one of the country's largest labor unions on Wednesday as he seeks the backing of blue-collar America in his bid for the stunning White House return. The sit-down with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters in Washington came with Trump hoping to leech away support for Democratic President Joe Biden among manual laborers as the pair look set for a rematch in November's election. Trump is leading former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley comfortably after the two opening contests in the Republican primary and is expected to be anointed as the party's standard bearer at its convention. Well, the business desk has the rest of today's stories.
In business, Nigeria's naira reached a record low against the dollar on the official market, even falling below rates on the unofficial parallel market during intraday trades, according to data from the FMDQ exchange. The naira dropped to as low as 1,531 to the dollar, compared to the parallel market rate of 1,460 naira. The currency eventually closed at 1,482 naira 57 kobo on the official market. On the forwards market, the currency eased further, with traders quoting the dollar as low as 1,650 naira in a year's time. The recent decline in the naira follows a revision in the methodology for calculating closing rates by the market regulator, FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange. The naira has experienced a 40% loss since the beginning of the year. Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index shows that South Africa, which was once praised as a model of democracy, has fallen even lower on the corruption scale, ranking it among other flawed democracies like Burkina Faso, Kosovo, and Vietnam. The country's ranking has dropped from 54th in 2010 to 83rd in 2023 out of 180 countries. While these scores are compiled from various data sources, the trend indicates a concerning deterioration in holding the corrupt accountable. The persistence of corruption in South Africa, despite high-profile exposés like the Zondo Commission, has frustrated many, highlighting the urgent need for accountable and integrity-driven leadership. And in East Africa, Kenya's currency is experiencing a prolonged period of gains, marking its longest winning streak since May 2021. The Kenyan shilling has strengthened against the US dollar for 4 consecutive sessions, reducing its losses by 25% since the beginning of last year. The demand for dollars locally is subdued, while inflows of hard currency are supporting the shilling, as reported by NCBA Bank Kenya PLC based in Nairobi. At present, the currency is trading at 160.60 against the dollar, representing a 0.4% increase. Kenya's foreign exchange reserves have also seen a rise, reaching $7.02 billion by the end of January 25, supported by a $210 million loan from the Trade and Development Bank and a $685 million loan approved by the IMF. Staying in East Africa's largest economy, in January, consumer prices in Kenya experienced the fastest increase in 4 months. Inflation rose to 6.9% from 6.6% in December, marking the joint highest rate with October, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. The rise in consumer prices has been influenced by the reopening of schools for the new academic year, which put pressure on household budgets for school fees, education materials, uniforms, and footwear. Meanwhile, electricity bills saw the highest increase among the basket of goods and services used to calculate inflation. Average food prices rose 7.9% year-on-year, with increases in the prices of cabbages, carrots, oranges, and potatoes. These inflationary pressures are expected to influence the Central Bank of Kenya to maintain the base interest rate at 12.5%. These are the stories we're tracking at this hour. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. You heard that President Tinubu has rejected stereotyping of Nigerians as corrupt. You also heard that CBN has ordered banks to sell excess dollars in 24 hours. We also told you that creeping Sudan war threatens relative peace in eastern border. Send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.